Now, I've gone on record for saying that I'm not a huge fan of Japanese cinema. For me, the quality is dated and the stories aren't usually up to par with what you get from Hollywood. It doesn't mean that I don't enjoy Japanese cinema, it's just that I'm not the fan that people would expect that I am. Having said that, my favorite movie of all time is a Japanese movie. Yeah, I know, right? Now, ramen, I promise we'll get back to cinema in just a second. Ramen is my favorite cuisine. I promised myself that when I went to Japan in 2006, that the first thing that I would eat when I got off the plane would be ramen. And it was. And man, was it good. And the movie that got me into ramen is my favorite movie. So, for my birthday review, we're gonna tackle...
Oh yeah!
Now, I'm pretty picky when it comes to movies. I like movies that have a happy ending, that make me feel good, where the bad guy gets it in the end and the good guy always wins. My friends know them as Justin movies. Well, I live in a world of sad things. Why would I want to watch a movie that makes me sad? And this is a Justin movie all the way. It's happy, it has comedy, cliches, death, noodle slurping, yakuza, and of course, my favorite food, ramen. Made in 1985, it's Juzo Itami's Tampopo. It's a movie pretty much about two things, sex and food. Don't worry, it's not that kind of movie. Juzo Itami was a filmmaker in the 80s and 90s, and some of his more popular films include the iconic A Taxing Woman, The Funeral, and the obscure Sweet Home. Yes, that Sweet Home. But more on that in another show. Tampopo is a satirical movie that pokes fun at the ridiculous way that food is often portrayed in films, manga, and television shows. And to show the humor in this, he wrote and directed Tampopo, about two cowboys, truck drivers, who roll into town and try the cuisine of a small ramen shop, only to be swept up in the heroine's charm and her desire to make the best ramen possible. Well, Itami probably enjoyed spaghetti westerns so much that he made a ramen western. Oh, come on! Oh, that was a good joke! That was a good joke, alright? The cowboy motif is strewn throughout the entire film. Even the truck Goro and Gun drive has cattle horns on it. The cowboys are portrayed by Tsutomu Yamazaki and Ken Watanabe. Both have become iconic actors in their own right, and even if you haven't seen much of Japanese film, you may recognize Tsutomu Yamazaki from the live-action space battleship Yamato, and Ken Watanabe from, well, Last Samurai, Inception, the list goes on and on for him. Here, the two play Goro and Gun. Two hungry cowpokes rolling into town and they happen to get into a fight. The heroine, Tampopo, heals Goro's wounds and asks him how she can make her ramen better. And thus, our story begins. But this doesn't just follow the main story. There are little mini vignettes of people who cross their paths, strewn throughout the entire film. And they're all so wonderful. And they all have a satirical edge to them. Not like Airplane satirical. Well, for example, there's this party of businessmen that go to have lunch at a high-class restaurant. And there's this lackey who seems to be the brunt of everyone's ire. Here, Juzo Itami satirizes this as the higher-ups wait for the big boss to order, and then they order exactly what he does, except for our little grunt guy. They're very rarely belly-aching laughs. They're more humorous giggle jokes, poking fun at Japanese society, and sometimes even European society, as in this spaghetti slurping scene. And then there's the other running joke of the Yakuza in white. From before the movie starts proper, you are introduced to the manly facade of this no-named Yakuza. He shows up several times throughout Tampopo, but only in this scene does he break the fourth wall and introduce himself to the viewers.
そっちも映画館なのね。そっちは何食べてる？
And he does something here that I wish I could do in theaters.
映画始まってからその音だったら俺あんた殺すかもしれないからね。分かってるなんだよ!
And that goes for you too! Now I did say that this movie was about sex and food, but not sex like you would think. Most of the sexy scenes are with the Yakuza in white and his girlfriend, and it's all pretty fun and silly. There's even an iconic scene of them involving an egg yolk, but that's all I'll say about that. But sex here is mostly tame and meant to be goofy. Except for that. That was just wrong. However, the main focus of the movie is the ramen. Tampopo's search to make the perfect bowl of ramen. Along the way, she finds people to help her to learn about noodles, soup, even how to garnish them. They act almost like a group of gunfighters, and there's several scenes that they look like they're about to do the most important thing in their entire lives, by making ramen. Once again, this is all done tongue-in-cheek, and even though the information about the food is pretty sound, how to make soup, how to make noodles, all that, well, it's all still quite silly, and meant to poke fun at the people who take these things just way too seriously. But in the end, Tampopo and her group do all they can to learn about noodles, even if it's a bit underhanded. Like I said before, I love ramen. And, well, there's a certain spot in a certain JR station in Kamada Station that's my favorite ramen place in the entire world. Oh, I remember tasting that ramen for the first time, when I drank the soup. They know. They've been there. Now there is a scene where they're about to make some barbecued turtle, and it does show the turtle meeting its end. That scene might be uncomfortable for many. As for me, it was that it was eaten afterwards that made it okay. It became food and wasn't done just to be barbaric for the show. It's very similar to the film Old Boy, where the octopus was eaten alive. That it was killed quickly here helps a lot. But many people may want to skip that small scene. Other than that, this movie is a joy. Compared to the comedies of today, it's kind of a different movie, not filled with guffaws and side-splitting moments, but the food humor here is certain to make the strictest foodie laugh out loud. And the mini-scenes showing the lives of the people are sometimes dark, sometimes very odd, sometimes both, but they're always interesting. Even the scenes with the Yakuza and his girlfriend never fail to make me smile. I love this movie. I've seen it more than any other movie that I own, and I still enjoy watching it. Heck, whenever I eat ramen, I always think of the old ramen expert at the very beginning, putting the pork to one side and saying, if you're interested in Japanese film of the 80s and enjoy sometimes dark satirical humor, then Tampopo is a must. Unfortunately, it's not on Netflix yet, but you can find it on the cheap at DVD stores and at Best Buy. All this talk about food has really made me hungry. Hey, let's go get some ramen. Now, I'm partial to ramen bowls. I really like the little flavor packets that they get in there. But sometimes in a pinch, all you can afford is the brick ramen. So let's teach you how to make the most out of the brick ramen, Tampopo style. I boil the ramen in a small pot and cook it for exactly 3 minutes. All the while, I have the kettle on, and I'm frying up an egg in butter. When the ramen is almost done, I pour the beef packet into the bowl that I'm going to use, and pour the water from the kettle into the boil. I like the taste of the fresh bouillon, without any flavors from the cooked ramen, starchy flavors. Then I take the ramen in a strainer, drain the cooked water out, and gently place it into a bowl. I then take the fried egg and place it on top of the noodles. Now, I actually learned this from Ramen Raider online. It's a great trick, and it really makes this more of a meal. Then you're done. Feel free to fry up some sausage or even some strips of tofu or meat, depending on your taste. I like to add a little bit of hot sauce. Now, the movie may poke fun at someone who's obsessed at something as simple as ramen. But after all, like the movie shows, shouldn't be just a little passionate about what you eat? Oh, and if anybody knows what the heck they're eating in this scene, please let me know. It looks so good.